History is cyclical. If you want to know the future, you've got to know the past. pornnewstoday.com, a part of the PNTLIVE network. All right, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Welcome once more to the PNTLIVE network. I am your hostess, Alex Mayers. Today's podcast is going to revolve around the public figure, the widely known public figure, by the way, a woman by the name of Dawn Vanguard. She also utilizes the alias Alana Evans. If you visit Alana Evans' Wikipedia, her legal name, Dawn Vanguard, is clearly stated. There is another legal name she goes by, but we're not going to touch on that today. We might save that for the follow-up podcast to this, because I'm keeping this particular podcast brief because I'm actually going to have to discuss the issue of white privilege and Dawn Vanguard in two other podcasts. It's going to be like a multi-podcast series because her situation is very interesting. I will tell you, if you're someone who buys into the concept of reincarnation, that's something I personally have always been on the fence about. But if reincarnation is real, I would say without a doubt, in a previous life, Dawn Vanguard was a pre-Civil War cotton plantation owner who is basically condemned by the powers that be to consistently be reincarnated into situations to where if she would open her eyes, maybe, I don't know, allow goodness into her heart, then maybe she would be able to elevate spiritually. But it's like if she were a pre-Civil War cotton plantation owner, it's like she's being condemned to relive the same life over and over and over again until she finally learns her lesson. And this lifetime, she still doesn't seem to have learned anything. What's very interesting is that as of current, Dawn Vanguard is the president of the Adult Performers Actors Guild Union, the porn industry's pseudo union. I personally did support it when it first came out. I never was a member, but upon seeing a lot of their actions and how they've treated people, how they have discriminated against individuals, that is not a union or an entity I would suggest anyone align themselves towards or to. I don't think it's something that anyone should join. I think that as a concept, a union within the adult entertainment industry is a great idea. You would probably actually need multiple unions to cover all the aspects that make up the adult entertainment industry, not too unlike what has happened in the regular entertainment industry. But this current incarnation of a porn union, at least considering its leadership, it's very disappointing from my perspective. Very disappointing. I personally feel that the actual president of the Adult Performers Actors Guild Union always needs to be someone who is elected by those that they represent. I would say if there had been a proper election, Melissa Hill would have been elected, not Dawn Vanguard. Not at all. But Dawn Vanguard is very pushy. Dawn Vanguard seems to have a lot of issues, actually. From my perspective, she is an extreme bully. I thought well of her for a while, but she had pulled the wool over my eyes, and that scares me substantially in regards to who she is as a person. Now, what a lot of people seem to overlook in regards to Dawn Vanguard, aka Alana Evans, and I don't know why this is, but historically, she has been inappropriate with minors. And if Dawn Vanguard, aka Alana Evans, wants to get her attorney involved with this, that is fine by me. Because everything that I am going to share with you about Dawn Vanguard has been well documented in mainstream media on multiple sources. And frankly, I wouldn't mind this situation going on legal record because I think it needs to, because from my perspective, Dawn Vanguard is a predator. She is a white privilege enabled predator. I believe that the only reason she has gotten away with what I'm about to relay and share with all of you is simply due to three factors. One, she's enabled by white privilege because she is a Caucasian American of European descent. Two, she is a woman. And three, she is a mother. Those three things. Now, what's interesting is that though Dawn Vanguard is a mother, she is not a mother biologically, at least not to my knowledge, to a white child. She is a mother to a multiracial child. How do I know this? Because over the years, she's never shut up about it. Not to say that she ever should shut up about it, but she has made it known to the world on shows such as Dr. Drew, to adult entertainment industry bloggers such as Dara Ford, to her multitudes of Twitter followers, and I'm talking thousands of people, that she has a multiracial son whose father is of African American descent. Maybe she does this because she feels that it deflects from her obvious white privilege and some of her racist actions over the years. You know, I actually wonder if it has been Dawn Vanguard's influence and actions that has driven a black female porn star known as India Morel to keep her Twitter privatized for such a long time. I wonder if India is afraid to have her Twitter public because she feels like, hey, if I say something about Dawn, aka Alana, she might send her legions of Twitter trolls after me to try to report me and have my Twitter account suspended, because she tried that shit with me. Didn't work, and there's a specific reason it didn't work, and we're not going to learn about that probably until January of 2020, but maybe sooner. You never know. There's always Christmas miracles. So anyway, today we are going to talk about an incident that occurred allegedly in December of 2008 that revolves around Dawn Vanguard, aka Alana Evans, and two teenage boys who are African American, who have a famous father, a celebrity by the way, known as Brian McKnight. And we're going to talk about Dawn Vanguard, aka Alana Evans' inappropriate activity and behavior around these minors. And we're just going to question, why is it that she never served any prison time? Why wasn't she fined, to my knowledge, or anything in regards to her interaction with these minor-aged teen boys? The only thing I can think of has to do with the fact that she's a white privileged enabled female, and LAPD sure is notorious for being quite racist. Now, before I read some of these articles from 2010 in regards to the situation, I just want to kind of paint a little picture for you in regards to why I think that this situation is quite unjust, and why I think that Dawn, aka Alana Evans, should have been fined or served some prison time. Let's think about who Alana's counterpart in the adult entertainment industry would be. A counterpart who would be a black male, her opposite. The first person who comes to my mind would be Mr. Marcus. All right? Imagine, and you know, it's funny that I do say Mr. Marcus because Mr. Marcus has contended with quite a few legal issues over the years. Actually, Melissa Hill has covered some of those legal issues that the industry should be talking about more when it comes to racism, prejudice, hypocrisy, and bigotry, but they don't want to. Why? Because I think the adult entertainment industry in actuality is controlled by a gang of white supremacists and white nationalists. But look at my previous podcast if you want to know more about that. So anyway, as many who follow me know, Mr. Marcus has been chastised and gotten in trouble legally over the years for a certain situation. But let's just imagine if Mr. Marcus were to have gone to 7-Eleven, picked up some wine and beer, and driven it over to hang out with the Olsen twins when they were under the age of 18 many years ago. Let's pretend that he did that. Now, he's never done that, okay? But let's just pretend that at some point in time, Mr. Marcus made that decision, right? And let's say that the Olsen twins decided, you know what, let's get together and molest Mr. Marcus. Or let's strip in front of Mr. Marcus. Or let's just do something in front of Mr. Marcus. And let's say that one of the Olsen twins' neighbors peeped over the fence or something, and they saw a black man with the Olsen twins, two little blonde girls, and they called LAPD, the police. What do you think would have happened to Mr. Marcus? Most likely, he would have done jail time. Maybe if he had a good attorney, the attorney would have gotten him out of jail, but he would have been fined. And it's possible that one of the law enforcement officers may have even been a racist and lied and said, oh, I thought he was reaching for a weapon, so I accidentally shot him. Those would have been the possible outcomes for Mr. Marcus should at any point in time he had made the decision to do that and party with minors who were white. All right, now that was all hypothetical, what I just said. The reality of Dawn Vanguard is that years ago, in 2008, she decided to go and pick up some alcohol and party at Brian McKnight's house. Now, Brian McKnight never knew about this party. He wasn't even home. She wasn't going to go hang out with Brian McKnight, someone who would have been age appropriate for her to hang out with. No. She went to hang out with his minor aged teenage boys. Allegedly, she was raped at Brian McKnight's house. That's the story that she tells, by the teenage boy's friend. She has complained for years that charges were never pressed. Did it ever occur to her that charges were never pressed because someone decided to protect her ass from prison and they used the element of white privilege to do so? Now, if you want to read about this yourself, you can pop on over to Radar Online, or you could go to ballerstatus.com, or you could go to daraford.wordpress.com. I mean, there's so many websites that cover this. You could go to singersroom.com. Now, over the years, Brian McKnight has denied these allegations and whatnot. But this situation kind of became one of Alana's claims to fame. And like I said, this was not the only time that she's been inappropriate with minors. In a follow-up podcast, I am going to discuss how I really don't understand how the California Labor Federation or Labor Board never got on her in regards to child exploitation or some child wage issues, something that I don't think she's ever thought about, but I've thought about it because there is solid evidence in regards to what I need to talk about when it comes to that. So anyway, I'm just going to read this to you. This is an article from September 6th, 2010. And before I read this, I want to preface that rape is a horrible thing. I have been victimized by rapists. Nothing happened to the individual that sexually assaulted me. So when it comes to rape, that's something that I'm very empathetic about. Brian McKnight has responded to allegations that a porn star was raped in his home while he was out of town, Radar Online has learned. The singer confirms that the allegation was made, but insists it was thoroughly investigated by police who did not arrest the accused man. The allegation became public when the website Media Takeout reported that porn star Dawn Vanguard, aka Alana Evans, has posted on her Twitter page that she's been raped by a man at McKnight's home in 2008, and that the singer's 2 teenage sons have been at the house. Evans has since closed her Twitter page to outsiders, but according to Media Takeout's reports, she claimed the LAPD did nothing to help her because of her profession. And again, I think the LAPD helped her tremendously, possibly because of her profession. Because again, what is a adult entertainer doing hanging out with minors? I think she was in her 30s at this time. When I was in my 30s, I cannot think of one occasion that I ever thought to myself, I'm going to go to a party where there's a bunch of teenage boys. Why would you do that? Especially being an adult entertainer. Another thing I want to say is that over the years, Dawn, aka Alana, does seem to have displayed a preference for dating very, very, very young guys. A lot of people don't realize it, but sexual predators known to molest minors are not always male. Sometimes they are female. But again, I just cannot wrap my mind around why a woman in her 30s would think to herself, I'm going to go and party with a bunch of barely legal guys or even teenage guys who are minors. I mean, it's possible that she thought to herself, well, it's Brian McKnight's house. What a prime opportunity to create a situation in which I could utilize tactics of extortion or blackmail. I'm not saying that's what she thought, but it's feasible. Now McKnight, the Grammy-winning singer and talk show host, is speaking out. We take the accusations made by Miss Evans very seriously, McKnight says in a statement to Radar Online. I was made aware of a party at my house in my absence in December of 2008. I was in New York City, and both my boys, ages 15 and 17 at the time, were at the house with some friends. I can confirm that Miss Evans was in fact at the house as I discovered she provided some of the liquor. It's not funny, yet it is. Being as I was not at home at the time, I cannot speak absolutely regarding all the events of the evening. However, my sons did inform me that due to Miss Evans' level of intoxication, that they placed her alone in a bedroom so she could sleep it off. So 2 minors, 15 and 17, witnessed an adult entertainer in their residence who was out of control, intoxicated, allegedly, and they thought to themselves, shoot, Dad's gonna find out. We better put her somewhere safe. They put her in the bedroom. These are 2 children, essentially. Like I said, let's go back to my hypothetical situation that I proposed earlier in the podcast. What if this instead had been the Olsen twins when they were minors and Mr. Marcus, instead of Brian McKnight's teens and Alana Evans? The next morning, Miss Evans stayed and socialized at the house until approximately 2 p.m. Evans said the man who raped her is Nicholas Hayes, and McKnight acknowledges that allegation. 2 days after the party, Miss Evans contacted the LAPD. McKnight continued in the statement. The police came to the house and questioned the entire family and Mr. Hayes with the full cooperation of the McKnight family. So because Alana Evans, a white privilege-enabled female sex worker who brought liquor over to this man's house, Brian McKnight, when he wasn't even home to hang out and party with his teen sons, minors, called the police and caused the police to invade McKnight's home to question him. And that's the current president of the Adult Performers Actors Guild Union? Really? Adult entertainment industry, really? Never heard of Melissa Hill doing anything like that. Nope. Mr. Hayes retained a lawyer and cooperated in a month-long investigation. The police concluded that no rape had occurred and no charges were ever filed. This information is all part of the official police report. I also want to add something. When Alana Evans spoke out about this to a particular person who interviewed her, when they interviewed her, I suppose in order to cause the interviewer to be a little soft on her, you know what she said? She said that she was pregnant. You see, it seems that whenever Dawn Vanguard, aka Alana Evans, gets in trouble, or whenever there's heat on her in regards to some of her actions or activity, suddenly she's pregnant. I have counted over the years that she's claimed to be pregnant 3 times, maybe 4, but strangely, she's never had another biological son aside from her multiracial son that she had when she was a teen. Just recently, she claimed to have been pregnant again. But no baby. Not at all. I anticipate her to say that she's pregnant again later this year, and maybe finally she'll have a monoracial baby. Maybe. Maybe not. So, I guess that's about it for this particular podcast. Some of you may think it's mean, but it's not. It's actually very factual. And the next podcast that we do about Dawn Vanguard, I do want to talk about a situation in which it appears that she exploited a minor in conjunction with her gaming. And I want to discuss whether or not that minor was adequately compensated, because there are quite a few labor laws when it comes to children in California. This particular minor did assist her in making money. In fact, the evidence of this has been on YouTube for approximately 8 years now. But no one seems to do anything about it. And the only reason I think that is because, well, Dawn is protected by white privilege. All right, that's about it for today. Have a great day. I'm going to wrap some Christmas presents and do some other shit. Once more, I'm Alex Mayers of PNTLIVE.net.